follow to answer this type of question in IELTS reading. There are 4 steps to help you answer matching sentence endings. Step 1 is to analyze the question. Step 2 is to read the question and consider which endings match them. Step 3 is to scan the passage for the keywords. And the last step is to read intensively to find the correct answer. In the first step, there are several ways to analyze the question. Start by reading the question and identifying the keywords. It's often a good idea to identify any names, including place names or dates, because these are often easy to find in the reading text. Also, in your mind, try to predict how the sentences might end before reading the endings given. After that, you should read the sentence endings and identify the keywords as well. Try to think of synonyms while you are doing this. To practice step 1, look at the following matching sentence endings task from a reading passage called The Use of Comics in Education. The questions ask you to complete each sentence with the correct ending. Note that there are 5 incomplete sentences, but 8 possible sentence endings to choose from. Remember, in this step, you need to identify the keywords in all the questions, or sentence beginnings, as well as the keywords in the sentence endings. Think about the meaning and possible synonyms while you do this. Have you chosen similar keywords? We will analyze how to find the ending for sentence 1, some early forms of sequential art, in more detail later. So notice the 2 keywords in this incomplete sentence, which are early forms and sequential art. Once you have identified the keywords, you need to move on to the step 2, which is to read the questions and consider which endings match them. Read the first question or sentence beginning carefully. Try to predict what the ending could be. As there are always more endings than needed, it is important to try to eliminate some that you think cannot match. How can you do that? Firstly, you need to think about what word form you need to make the sentence grammatically correct. So do you need a noun, verb, or perhaps adjective? In other words, can you see any endings that would not work grammatically? Another elimination strategy is to check for collocations. Can you see any words that would not go together? Lastly, but importantly, consider the meaning. Ask yourself, are there any obvious sentence endings that wouldn't make sense? Well, hopefully you will be left with only 2 or 3 possible options. Let's practice this step by looking at question 1. It says, some early forms of sequential art. Read through the sentence endings and try to eliminate some of them. Think about the meaning and grammar. Which endings do you think you could eliminate? Firstly, it's clear that a verb is needed next because the incomplete sentence only has a noun phrase. It says some early forms of sequential art. But they all start with a verb, so that is not very helpful. However, it seems that the first part of the sentence is referring to the past, the early forms. So all the sentences beginning with were, including A, E, and F, are definite possibilities. Let's look at sentence ending A. It contains the word all, while the question contains the word some. So this does not make logical sense when you put them together. So ending A can be eliminated. Ending E can also be eliminated because sequential art was pictures, not writing. So it was probably not read in the 19th century. This leaves F as the only were ending that seems logical. People who are illiterate, this means can't read and write, may have looked at sequential art. However, we cannot just choose this answer without considering the other endings. The ones beginning with have been can also refer to the past and continue to the present. So let's consider the meaning of some of the have been sentences too. Sentence B is about science class, and art is probably not studied in a science class. C seems possible. Someone could be judging art today. And D seems less likely because ancient forms of art are probably not widely looked at by children today. G also seems like an incorrect answer, as governments are unlikely to produce this art. However, H is possible. People could be re-evaluating sequential art. So now we are only left with 3 endings to choose from: C, F, and H. Okay, the next step, which is step 3, is to scan the passage for the keywords. In step 3, scan the passage and look for the keywords from the question, that is, the sentence beginning. Look for synonyms or antonyms of the keywords as well as paraphrases. Please note that the information in the reading passage is in the same order as the questions, which makes it easier to locate the correct answer. So the answer to question 2 will be after the answer to question 1, and so on. In this step, the test taker found that the words sequential art are mentioned in paragraph B. Therefore, paragraph B is probably the correct place to look for the answer. In order to make sure that the chosen paragraph is the correct place, you need to read that section intensively to understand the main idea, and this is step 4. This means you need to read the sentence that contains the words sequential art and possibly the one after it, very carefully to understand the main idea. You then need to look at the sentence endings again and choose the ending that has the same meaning. Check carefully that the meaning of the sentence ending you choose has the same meaning as the passage. It should be a paraphrase. Okay, let's give it a try. The reading says, much later, after the invention of writing, sequential art continued to be used for the instruction of those among the population who were illiterate. Now, it is time to check the possible endings. Any of them match? Yes, F, were used as an aid to help the illiterate. The word instruction is paraphrased as an aid, and the word illiterate is repeated. So this is the answer for question 1. The complete sentence reads, some early forms of sequential art were used as an aid to help the illiterate. Note that the first question you do is usually the most difficult one, because you have lots of different options to choose from.